Hello, I'm Catherine, and I'm your new dermatologist. It's nice to meet you too. So, before we get started talking about all things skin, I first need to ask you a few personal questions, just because the better I know you, the better the recommendations I can make about you and your skin. And I'll write these notes on my laptop so that I don't forget anything when and if we meet again, or if you choose another dermatologist, and I can just send those over and you don't have to worry about explaining yourself again. Okay, so I'll just take notes on my laptop over here. Firstly, what is your full name? And your date of birth? You take very good care of your skin, that's obvious. Lots of UV protection. The reason we ask you your date of birth is just because as we get older, different products are better for different age groups. So there are some products you don't need as a young person, and there are some products that you should avoid as we get a little bit older. So next up, do you have any specific skin complaints? Okay. A little bit of dryness? Okay. Well, I guess that answers my next question, although maybe not, because the skin on our face can react differently to the skin on our hands or on our elbows. So what would you say your skin type is? Is it oily, dry, or normal? Or lots of people have combination skin? I'd say most people seem to have combination skin, actually. So which do you think best applies to you? Okay, well, let's have a look and I'll be able to tell you if you're right. Okay, I'm just gonna feel around your face just to get an idea of the texture of your skin. Okay, I think you're right. It's mainly dry. There's parts of your skin that are quite hydrated, but there seems to be a lot of dryness there. Can I ask you what your skincare routine is, if you have one? Okay, let me write this down. Need to catch up on my notes. Okay. 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 So it sounds like your skincare routine is pretty minimalist, which I'm actually very pleased by. So many of my patients come in here and they have a 17-step skincare routine, and actually having loads of products and putting loads of different products on your face doesn't do your skin any favours. It just kind of stops your skin from breathing. It stops your pores from being able to expel any dirt or toxins, because that's what our skin does. It gets rid of that from our bloodstream. That's why I don't wear face makeup, really. I noticed that when I used to get breakouts a lot, Okay, one thing I did notice is that your cleanser, I think that might be part of the problem, because lots of cleansers use ingredients which are dehydrating, or they cause our skin to react. They're not very skin friendly. I used to, before my dermatologist days, I used to go to the supermarket, I used to go to the drugstore to get, you know, my skincare products, especially cleansers, moisturisers, and that's actually, in hindsight, when I started to get dry skin. I don't have dry skin anymore, and I attribute that to 2 things mainly. One is diet, which I will get to in a bit, but the other is, so I have a product here which is the only cleanser I've ever used which doesn't seem to dry my skin out. And the problem with a lot of these cleansers is that once you start using them and you get that dry skin, you feel like you have to put on moisturiser, and actually your body creates the stuff to keep your skin moisturised. It's not like before skin products we were all walking around with flaky skin, really dry skin. It's honestly, the skincare and beauty industry is a larger part of the problem of why so many people have complaints about their skin, and why absolutely everyone seems to be obsessed with moisturising and moisturisers. But what most of those do is that it puts a layer of moisture on your face, which of course feels great, but it doesn't actually do anything for your skin in terms of health benefits or making your skin look better overall. It just packs everything in there, and again, depending on the moisturiser, it can make it harder for your skin to breathe. So it makes it harder to expel that waste, and as a result, this causes breakouts. Obviously, it's not the only cause of breakouts. There are lots of different culprits. There's pollution, and this is why it is actually good to have a cleanser. And obviously we touch our faces with our hands, which have often picked up bacteria and dirt. What's important about a cleanser is that it's not stripping absolutely everything away from your skin. That's not the point. Even though those sorts of cleansers, it can make you seem like you have really great skin straight after you use it, eventually it will cause more skin complaints than it seems to solve. So the way I discovered this was I ran out of a particular cleanser and I just stopped using any cleanser or moisturiser. I know, shocking, but this was back in the day. But that made me kind of start researching the skincare industry and everything about that, because I realised that my skin was becoming way less dry and I turned into a normal skin type. The dryness occasionally appears if I go somewhere and the water's a bit different, like hard water can be irritating for some. But then I found a cleanser which does away with all of the pollution, any, dirt, without actually stripping everything away, without stripping your skin's natural moisture, and that was Lizol. And it also doubles up as an exfoliator, because you use this cloth its fibres are meant to be exfoliating, but in a very gentle way that's gentle on your skin, not like the mechanical cleansers that you can get, the mechanical exfoliants with the little beads in them, which, as well as being an ecological issue, it's also there are better ways to exfoliate your skin, especially you don't need to worry about it too much when you're young, but when you get a bit older it can scratch the surface of your skin, so it's something to keep in mind, and this does everything in one. So much so that I have not had to use a moisturiser in years, and my skin is perfectly hydrated. But if you love, you know, the skincare routine, it makes you feel good, then there is a moisturiser I would recommend. It's the best one I've ever used, and if I ever come into a bit more money, because it is a luxury, it's a little bit expensive. By a little bit, I would say significantly more expensive than your average supermarket moisturiser, and that is the True Botanicals face oil. And although I purport the fact that moisturisers don't actually do a heck of a lot long term for your skin, this is one that if you just like the feeling of it and it makes your skin feel good and nice, it has, you know, really calming ingredients, definitely nothing bad there, and the formulation, all you need is just 2 drops of oil, and you just rub it in circles like this. Around your face, and your face is fully moisturised after 2 drops, 3 if your skin is feeling particularly dry, and it gives you this amazing, almost golden glow. I always used to get such compliments on my skin after I used it. So if I was going to recommend any moisturiser, it would be that one. Because with most other moisturisers, you're putting stuff on your skin that is causing more harm than good. At least that's what I've found. Do you have any other concerns about your skin? Okay. Okay, so I would say ditch some of the products that you're using because they're not necessary and they could actually be contributing to some of the issues you have. And I would say another thing as well, can you tell me about your diet? Because often skincare products, they claim to have all of these really beneficial ingredients, especially for anti-aging, which is, you know, the beauty industry's way to sell things. The thing is, the ingredients that they purport to use in those, which I'm not saying they don't, it's not that, but scientifically, some of the ingredients they purport to use are too large to penetrate the cell membranes on all of the cells of your skin. So what you're doing is just putting a layer that you put on and then you wash off. So I would think carefully before spending lots of money on anything with a big claim about anti-aging or having these revolutionary benefits, because though you might see a decrease in wrinkles, that's largely because obviously you're putting moisture on there. It means that they're going to be less visible, but then when you wash it off, it's not going to make any difference in the long term. There are prescription drugs that you can take for anti-aging, but I personally think that everyone is more beautiful as they age. That's just, I know it's not a very common opinion, but the more lines I see on someone's face, the more, you know, defined their facial structure. I just find everyone more beautiful and more interesting as they get older. And I think also it's symbolic because you know that that person has lived more life, they've probably seen more, I think I connote it with experience and interesting people, because I mean, it makes sense. As we get older, we live more, we get, more interesting qualities about us, we have more interesting stories because we've had more time for all of that to happen to us. Not that there's obviously plenty of interesting young people, loads, but those interesting young people will become even more interesting older people. So I personally find aging beautiful, but I would say to wear UV protection. It is the only genuinely scientifically backed anti-aging potion in the beauty industry that is out there, and really it's just to stop the sun's rays doing more damage than they would if you just walked outside all the time in the sun without UV protection. So sunscreen is good for that. I don't wear it as much as I should, but I do wear it. I do wear it when I need to, and I don't ever let myself get a sunburn. So yeah. Now moving on, what I was saying about, putting all those great ingredients on your skin only to then take them right back off, and it's not actually penetrated your skin and done anything. One thing we can do is, if we can't get our skin from the outside, we can most certainly nourish our skin from the inside, because our body's composition is controlled, determined by the things we eat. We are what we eat, to be cliche. There are lots of things that are great for your skin, as lots of beauty industry products purport. Vitamin C is great, which you can find in high quantities in lots of fruits, most fruits even. Some really high ones are obviously oranges, are the ones that people think of the most when they think vitamin C, but apples and strawberries, kiwi. If you get your daily recommended amount of fruit, then you're going to have enough vitamin C, essentially. But you can always take the tablets, vitamin C tablets, if you hate fruit, but I would always recommend eating the whole foods or in a smoothie, because it is a myth that the fibre is removed from fruit when you put it in a smoothie. Juicing, obviously no, we don't want that, because that's very high in sugar and there's no fibre. You remove all of the stuff that prevents you from having a huge blood sugar spike, and that can result in breakouts and all sorts of problems with your skin and elsewhere in your body also. Apart from the vitamins you get in fruit, and the most important, I would say, because this type of nutrition is incorporated into all of the cell membranes in your body, is unsaturated fat. So this is primarily plant-based fat. Coconut oil is an exception, that is a saturated fat. Some people say it has lots of health benefits. I personally think it is massively overhyped, and compared to unsaturated fats, it's just nowhere near. So the unsaturated fats are really good for our cell membranes. So this could be olive oil, drizzling olive oil on your salad. I personally take flaxseed oil, although I've actually stopped taking it now because I put all my nutrition into Chronometer. I don't know if you've ever used that. But it's basically a website you can use, or an app, where you can check all the different percentages of different food groups. So it'll show you how much fat you're having, carbs, protein, etc. But then it goes even further, and this is especially good for people who follow a vegetarian and vegan diet and plant-based diet. because it shows you each individual amino acid to show you which one you might be deficient in, and it shows all of the different percentages of vitamins and minerals, because actually, while people go on and on about how vegans and vegetarians are probably deficient in this, if you're not having any fruits and vegetables, you're going to be deficient in things. And I just think it's interesting that meat eaters are not critiqued, even though the majority that I know, and I know plenty because it makes up the majority of the population, they're the first ones to criticise people eating a plant-based diet. But then when I've asked them, okay, how many fruits and vegetables do you eat? The answer is always shockingly low, which is not good for you by any health board's recommendations. But yes, back to it. Unsaturated fats are very good for you. So anything in seeds, in nuts. If you eat lots of seeds and nuts, you're going to get enough unsaturated fat. The good fats, as we like to call them in society. But if you find it difficult to eat seeds and nuts, and I know lots of people do on like a daily basis, it can be difficult to get enough. Personally, I have a lot of them in an acai bowl, so it's like having a fruit covered nut bowl every day. It's incredible. It's such a cheat code to having an incredibly nutritious meal. And because, it's essentially a smoothie bowl with nuts in it, I don't have any added sugar. I sweeten it with, the half a banana and berries that I blend in with the acai powder. It's just such a nutritious meal. It's got loads of protein, fat, and it has the sugar, obviously, but not too much, and also it's balanced out by everything else that's in the bowl. So that's how I do it. But I did used to take flaxseed oil, and I know that eating habits are very difficult to change. So this is just a very easy way of making sure you get your omega-3s and your omega-6s in the right ratios too, because that's important. And there's really great fats in avocado too. I have an avocado every day. It's my luxury because I do operate on a budget, but it's the thing that gets me out of bed in the morning. So, and all of these things, they have massive benefits all throughout our body, not just our skin. But in terms of your skin, it will make it more plump, and it also helps to retain hydration, so you can think of it as a dietary moisturizer. And really just doing everything naturally is, or most things naturally, because obviously cleansers and moisturizers can be good, but there are much easier and ways with multiple benefits that you can do without spending loads of money, by just making sure that you're eating the right things and cleaning your face with the right stuff, and your skin should sort itself out. Obviously lots of things can also affect your skin, hormonal changes, etc. Stress, obviously it's always good to try and lower stress, but sometimes trying to lower stress can be even more stressful in itself. Okay, are you happy with everything we talked about here? Okay, so I'll just ask you, do you have any last problems? Yeah, well, just let us know if you notice any changes to any moles or anything. Obviously we can talk about making your skin look nice and everything like that, but the most important thing by far is making sure that you're healthy and happy, and the two often go hand in hand. A couple of other things, as well as the fats. Drinking lots of water, it should be intuitive really. Drinking lots of water hydrates you, and so it also hydrates your skin, because more water can go into all of your cells if you're hydrated. If you're dehydrated, they tend to shrink a bit, which makes fine lines appear more prominent, makes wrinkles look, deeper. But if you're properly hydrated, then they won't be as obvious. And lastly, just to prevent breakouts, and actually there's lots of research that points to, slowing down aging with the right kinds of foods as well. Just avoiding processed foods as much as possible. And obviously they're a staple of our society, so if you could just aim for maybe a third to start with, a third of your food being unprocessed, so whole foods like grains and fruits and vegetables, or anything else that is unprocessed that you enjoy. Well, if you're happy, then I'll just take down a few more things as you leave the practice. But it was lovely to meet you. You seem like a lovely person, and hopefully something I've said will help you, and